If you love the video game, the books, or you're a big fan of teenage girl coming-of-age dramas on the CW, you will love Netflix The Witcher. Okay, today I'm going to do something that is probably the worst thing I could do for the channel. I am going to talk about ways that Witcher was not a great series. Now, don't get me wrong, certain things were wonderful. We have Henry Cavill playing the main character of Jesus, messed it up already. Geralt of Rivia. He is a Witcher, which according to English rules, you would think that means one who witches. But no, he is actually some kind of a monster hunter who is a mutant, is the word they like to use a lot, who also has magical powers and is cursed or blessed, depending on your point of view, with never having kids. Henry Cavill is fantastic. Now, let me start this off by saying I have neither read the books nor have I ever played the video games, and I will be doing this review from the point of view that I should understand and enjoy what is going on without having to go through hundreds of hours of supplementary material in order to understand this series. Henry Cavill, great acting job. I did take a little listen to a couple clips from the video games, and he does a great imitation of the voice, which I think is a huge plus for anyone who loved the games. I mean, you don't want... It'd be weird if you had some squeaky voice dude playing Geralt. I should not have binged this late last night. The action overall was good when Henry Cavill was in it. He looks fantastic with a sword. Anyone who watches this channel will know I am super duper picky on fights and sword stuffs. And he was great. Some of the stunt doubles that he was fighting against were so-so. But the action was really quite nice when he was in it. And then we get to a couple other main characters. So it's really the story of Geralt, Ciri, who is this teenage daughter who we come to find out by the stupidly named Law of Surprise is kind of like Geralt's adopted daughter, stepdaughter, daughter he sort of bought. It all depends on your point of view. She really doesn't do a whole lot of anything. She is special. We know that she's special. She has some kind of magical power, innate magical powers. Maybe she has some other ancestry. It's weird because the guy who wrote this is from Poland. And I could have sworn one of my friends said, oh, this is like a fantasy version of medieval Poland. But I don't see any Polish anything in here other than maybe a couple names. So it is a fantasy world. There are dwarves, there are elves. I think somewhere there are witches. There are women who are called witches, but they prefer to be called sorcerers, and we wouldn't want to misname anyone, so we'll call them sorceresses as they like. So there's magic, fantastical creatures, and maybe Ciri is related to one of them. It's hard to say. And then you have the third character of Yennfer. And oh my God, this is a mess. Please, anyone who's actually read the books or played the game, can you please comment down below and tell me, is she as big of an annoying a-hole as she is in this TV series? There was like nothing redeeming about this lady. Okay, so Yennfer starts off as a hunchback. She is 1/4 elf. Her father was half elf. There was some kind of great purge or something like that where I guess it was the humans killed off a bunch of elves, or most of the elves, or some of the elves. I don't know. It's not really clear based on this TV show. So she's a hunchback who accidentally creates a portal when a dude and her sister are, I don't know if they're supposed to be beating her up or trying to rape her. It's not entirely clear. It sort of looks like they're tickling her, and she really hates to be tickled. So she takes this portal and finds this other dude who's a magic guy, and he sends her back. And then there's a head mistress of, I don't know, whatever Witcher Hogwarts is, who takes the girl in and then sort of trains her. Like, other than a couple scenes trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and the first scene sort of explaining how magic works, even though it doesn't work that way half the time, we don't really see Yennfer training for anything. I don't really know how much she learned, but apparently she's supposed to be accomplished. And there's this whole trickery thing. She wasn't officially brought into the conclave or whatever. She missed her ceremony because she was getting appointed somewhere else. And they have this thing where when you become a full member of the sorcery mage community, you get to have your body remade. I don't know, man. It was weird. So at any rate, another magic guy made her not a hunchback. And all of a sudden she's a hot chick. She's like naked for this whole scene, and we'll get back to the nudity in a few minutes. And at any rate, she has to sacrifice her reproductive organs, the uterus and the ovaries. And she willingly does this because she wants to not be a hunchback. She intentionally defies rules and custom in order to do this and begs him to do this. Then later on in the series, she's moaning about how they took her choice and they took it from her. No, dude, I just watched that like 3 episodes before. You're like, yeah, take it out. I'm cool. I don't want to be a hunchback. It's like really weird. I understand the girl at the start of this show is like, I don't know, she's supposed to be a teenager, I'll guess like 16, 17, something like that. You can see like a young, petulant child, but it seems like someone who grew up accustomed to hard work on a farm, who was constantly getting the crap beat out of her for being a hunchback. It seems like she would have like a little more head on her shoulders, but she acts like the bougiest princess you've ever met. Like, she thinks everything should be her. She wants all the power. She's jealous that she's not given enough respect, even though she really hasn't done anything to earn respect. It's just weird. And then we get into this weird time difference. So we end up like fast forwarding several decades to where the kind of the beginning, kind of the end, I'll get to that in a second, of the season takes place. It should be several decades later. And she's still acting like a petulant child. You know, there's no growth. She still acts like everything should be done for her. And just the amount of validation she gets from everyone. Like, they're always like, oh, you're one of the greatest and you've really grown. You're amazing. Like, we haven't seen her do anything amazing really this whole season. The portal thing was cool. But other than that, like, nah, there hasn't been a whole lot. So I don't know. I don't understand why this character is in there. It's almost like 2 different TV shows. One is an actual, like a action fantasy, killing monsters and this and that. And then the other one is like, what was that medieval show on CW, like Reign or something like that, where it was all about like teenage princesses, you know, and like nobody loved them, or like one was poor and secretly a princess and nobody loved her and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what this seems like. Like, who did you think the show would be for? Man, it's weird. I got to say that I can respect them for making some of the choices. If this were really medieval Poland, it would all be a bunch of white people. You want to add in different race people is good in general, except for the one Strigoi scene. That was just weird. And then you want to have more women in prominent positions. That's cool too. But like, what the heck, man? Like, little character development. Write them in a way that somebody wants to be them. The only thing that people would really want to emulate her is that the actress is hot. Smoking hot. Which brings me to my next topic, nudity. This is chock full of nudity, but it is, in general, some of the most boring nudity you've ever seen. Like, you have nudity for reasons. Like, you want to show a people that are more innocent, more pure, so maybe you would have like some tribe out in the middle of nowhere that they don't wear a lot of clothes because they don't have these naughty thoughts or something. Okay, that's cool. You could have nudity to emphasize people's vulnerabilities. All right. You could have nudity for the purpose of sexuality. You could have like this mage or sorceress, whatever you want to call her. She could use her sexuality as part of her magics to influence, to entice. But no, they don't do that. It's almost like, you guys ever go to a hotel room and there's a painting in the room? Can you tell me anything about any of those paintings? I think the answer is no, they're just in the background to take up space. And that's how nudity is treated in this show. It's so friggin' weird. There's a scene in the first episode. Geralt goes to this wizard's tower, and there's all these people walking around tending this garden naked. And they're just kind of like there. It's like, oh, okay, naked people. And then, like you go on with your conversation. Not like, hey, why are all these people naked? It's a very cold country. What's going on? Where did you get a bunch of naked servants? But no, it's all an illusion. And then later we see Yennfer doing a similar thing. She's holed up in this mansion for whatever reason. I don't know if she was trying to earn money for some medical procedure that they never really detailed, or I don't know. They just kind of dropped the plot. But there's this room where there's an orgy going on. Why is there an orgy there? What was her purpose in doing that? I don't know. Is she just taking over people? Like having them do other people against their will? Heck if I know. Now, the only scene where it really made sense was in Yennefer's transformation, where she gives up her uterus, she's naked, and she seems sweaty and in pain. And that is actually a good use of the boobs. So in my final review, it's kind of tough because normally if you have pirates or ninjas or boobs, I will rate your project higher. I think I'm going to have to slightly give it a higher mark than I normally would, just because they did get a couple scenes in there, but they almost blew it altogether. Now, the other thing that was really confusing about the show was the timeline. The timeline makes absolutely no freaking sense because they don't tell you anything. Okay, if I can explain, maybe. So they start off with The Witcher and Cersei and Yennefer. Okay, and you get the impression that this is all at the same time, but they don't actually tell you that. And that's because it's not. So we have the earliest starting one, I think, would be Yennefer. And then the middle one would be Geralt. We find him killing a monster. And he, basically goes on his way, killing stuff, before he meets this bard, Jaskier. And Jaskier is like, okay, Geralt is the only interesting, normal guy that you could potentially look up to. All the other men in the show are braggarts or just plain goofy like Jaskier. There's really nothing redeeming about this guy, and it makes you wonder. Like The Witcher is always talking about, I wish I could get away with you, or get away from you, and we all do too, buddy. We all do too. The problem with this is there are absolutely no clues to tell you that one thing happened in front of another. In the first episode, Ciri's grandma, Queen Calanthe, who is the lioness of... I forget what kingdom they're from. Honestly, I couldn't keep them straight, other than they're Niflheim. Niflheim is trying to take over the whole continent. So in the first episode, the grandmother dies, and Ciri's on the run. Okay, well, like episode 4 or 6 or something, Geralt goes to that country, and he's in the court of the queen. And then the queen had a daughter, something with the P. Sorry, again, I just don't remember. And I don't really care enough to go back and find out. And you sort of come to realize, like, oh, these people who I all thought were dead are not dead. And then I'm very confused. And then it's like, oh, no, that happened at least, 15 years before or something. And then you start to get clued in, like, oh, things are happening at different rates. But the problem is it doesn't make any sense, and it's really hard to follow. Like, I need some years, man. Give me some years or something so I can figure out that, Geralt knew Ciri, and he also met Yennfer sort of before the start of Ciri's story in episode 1. Because Ciri's, like, running through a bunch of woods and I don't know, doing a bunch of other stuff that really didn't seem to matter at all. For the entire season. It was, I gotta say, this show is like maybe 60% Yennfer, maybe like 35% Geralt, and like 5% Ciri. It is the weirdest organization of a show that you could ever do. I don't know why they would think that people want to do this. So please, anyone, what is Yennefer's role in the books and in the game? I really want to know. Is she that important? Because to my way of thinking, Witcher came out quite a while ago. Even Witcher 3 was several years ago. So I have to imagine if the people who played that game were, let's say, teenagers when that came out, they would probably be late 20s to 30s now. So why are they making this TV show aimed at a much younger audience? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, who is this for? I mean, I would totally be down with a show if it was all Geralt, just him going around doing things. But the tone, like, it really did remind me of Xena, Warrior Princess, or Hercules, The Legendary Journeys from the 90s, because all the villagers you meet, they just seem very jokey, except for the first episode. The first episode was quite nice. I really liked that a lot. But as you go on, the villagers are weird. It's got some weird thing where, like, Ciri's running through the woods, and sometimes it's snowy, and sometimes it looks like late summer, and then she's in this grove with some, like, I guess Amazon-type ladies, where it looks like it's summer, and there's a bunch of ferns, and then we go back to, like, pine forests of Northern Europe. Like, what the hell's going on, man? I can't follow you if you don't give me some clues. Maps. Oh, for the love of God, what I wouldn't have given for a map so I have some sense of, like, orientation. Oh, we're here, we're there. I don't know. If season 2 comes out, I'll probably watch it simply because I have this YouTube channel and I gotta fill time. But there's really, I don't know, if they made it full of Geralt, totally, man, I'm down with that. That part was great. The 35% he was in was fantastic, except for that one wedding episode. That was not very good. So, anyways, final thoughts. If you like the video games, I know a lot of people did. They like seeing the game that they grew up with on screen. Cool, man. More power on you. You'll enjoy it. Teenage girls who, I guess, sort of like those shows, girl empowerment and this and that. Yeah, they'll probably like this too. If you're just a casual who wants like a fantasy show to watch, I don't know, man. Amazon's coming out with Lord of the Rings sometime next year. Hopefully that will be a bit better. So at any rate, what did you think of The Witcher? How much do you hate me for this review? Subscribe to the channel, and you'll probably hear more things that you hate. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a comment down below. Please, please, how does this compare to the books in the game? I really want to know, are these women who seem to hate men so prominent in the other media? Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll probably be back soon. 6 Underground with Ryan Reynolds coming up soon.